Running never did much good. Hiding doesn't last forever. You can't run faster when it's you're running from. So you throw your hands up like doves to the setting sun. Somewhere down the stars are falling like jewels upon a thin black veil. You'll find the mysteries enthralling. 5 seconds seems like 5 billion years. 10,000 galaxies away, yet still so near.
Welcome to Karen Holton's podcast. Karen permanently lost 178 pounds and found happiness and success by following her own advice. She has now developed that advice into the quantum health transformation. Heal, evolve, and thrive. Karen's website offers a free webinar workshop series, and you'll also find tools, methods, and practices to assist you to become the change you want to see in the world. She believes that we are all connected. Heal the planet by healing yourself. Connect with Karen at her website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and through Facebook at Facebook.com/Quantum Health Transformation. Now for the podcast.
Hi, everybody. This is the orientation workshop video for the Quantum Health Transformation version 3.0. The Quantum Health Transformation program is ideal for those who are awakening and for those who are experiencing ascension symptoms. But the content is also beneficial for everyone who wishes to experience a better quality of life. Joining me are Don Rogers and Canadian Spinja, who are a Canadian power couple experiencing the awakening process together, which makes them the perfect candidates to receive this instructional workshop. To find out more about them and my work, all of the links are featured below in the description. Check us out, subscribe to our channels, leave me some comments, smash that like button, and share this video with your friends. Dawn and Spinja, how lovely to see you again today. How you doing?
Great, thank you. It's an honor to be with you on this journey.
I'm super excited. Thank you. I'm thrilled to bits because this is the brand new upgraded and updated version of the Quantum Health Transformation. I did the original back in 2013. I upgraded it in 2017, and now it was time to upgrade it again as I get a better understanding of things. And for those out there who don't know, I received this information in a download, and it just hit me all at once like a packet being dropped into my brain. And as it unfolded, I went around really acting like a crazy person because I was obsessed with this information. And I got some really clear intuitive sensations that I was not to sell it. It had to be offered for free to everybody. And I needed to downstep the information, which came to me in concepts and symbols and all kinds of ways. And I needed to downstep it into as common English as possible, and to be able to be understood and used by people regardless of their religious background, their educational background, their culture. As long as people can speak basic English, this program is available. So I'm really thrilled to bits to have you too in the workshop series. It's much nicer to share this information with someone instead of me just, reading it off. So today is an overview, or what I'll call the orientation, And we'll just go through some of the upcoming steps so that you have an overview. And then next week we'll get busy and we'll get together again and we'll start with step 9. I know this sounds strange, but we start with step 9 and we gradually work our way down to step 1. And I don't know why, just how it came to me.
I have a theory. I'm wondering if it's the countdown to liftoff.
Yes, I think it is. I think it is. And step 9, the reason you start with step 9 and take the steps in order is because step 9 gives you the foundation for step 8, and that gives you the foundation for step 7, and it builds to the peak. And by the end, yeah, it's pretty interesting how it all works out. It sure helped me a lot. It's not only helped me mentally and physically and spiritually, but I've actually changed in my physical appearance. My hair turned white. I lost almost 200 pounds. I was a very large woman most of my life, and it's completely changed my life. And so I'm hoping it can do at least half as much for everybody else. So with that, I'm going to go to screen share and pull up the program here for us all to look at. So each of these lessons are called steps. And as I mentioned before, we start with step 9, and they're loosely associated with the chakra system. So each chakra gives us energy for specific aspects of our life: physical, emotional, spiritual, all aspects of our life. And most people are familiar with the 7 color chakras, but they're not familiar that we actually have more. We actually have more than 9, but I'm using 9 for illustration and for organizing this information. So step 9 is black, and it's located about a foot below your feet. And at the top, you'll see for step 1 is white, and that's actually a chakra that's right above our heads, about a foot, 10 inches, I guess, above our head. And everybody's familiar with the root chakra, which is red, but as being sort of the grounding base chakra. But I believe that the one below our feet is also really important for grounding and for orienting us to our higher understanding. So step 9 is called black, and it's the introduction to the nubby ball and light shadow integration. So you can see in the background of this page, there's a drawing of a nubby ball. And a nubby ball is actually a sphere, and it's covered in infinite number of nubs. It's I have one right here. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. But it's just a conceptual tool to help us to understand that there's a lot more to reality than what we've previously thought. We've been told that we live in a binary system. Things are good or they're bad, or they're love or they're hate, or they're up or they're down, or they're north or they're south, or they're male or they're female. And really, those are only the 2 opposite poles on a nubby ball. And the nubby ball illustrates that there's infinite number of points in between and many ways of looking at situations. So step 9, 8, and 7 help you to open up your mind and to conceptualize things more as they really are, which is very complex. And is very, everything is more complex than what we previously believed. I don't know why my background is showing up on this. Sorry. Okay. Oh, no, come back. Okay, so we're all imperfect people here, and you can see I have some programs on the sidebar, but anyway, just ignore that anyway. So we'll just get into this. So yeah, so step 9 black is going to teach you how to use the nubby ball tool to see things in a more complex and realistic nature. And through that ball, we'll also use it to get a greater understanding of light and shadow integration. And everybody wants to believe that we're all good and in the light all the time. But the truth of the matter is we all hold a shadow side. It's perfectly normal. And for whatever reasons, generally through our socialization, we've been taught that certain feelings and ways of looking at things and opinions are somehow bad or wrong. And truly, they're just part of the total of the information that's out there. And I think the sooner we recognize our shadow and integrate it, you don't get rid of it because that's actually impossible, but we just bring it to the fore so that the information and the messages from our shadow self, we're listening. And then we've got twice as much information that we can use to base our decision making and things like that. So you really want to integrate the light and the shadow into our being. And it's kind of like siblings that don't necessarily get along, but the love is there and you learn to work with both. And I'm wondering, Spenja or Dawn, do you have any comments you want to add to that or questions?
It makes sense. It's like if you, from what I'm seeing, if you open your mind up to accept your shadow side, you can, when you're making a decision, you can tap into it, and it gives you an even broader spectrum of all the possibilities.
Exactly.
Yeah. On my end, it immediately brings to mind the stage of my awakening where I was like, oh, I can identify ego. I must destroy my ego, and then I will be pure, and all of this will go better, and everything will be great. You can't. Just like you can't destroy your shadow, you can't destroy your ego because you need it to be a part of you because it's who you are.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's exactly what that inspired by the, yeah.
Absolutely. The other thing too is when we suppress our shadow, it can sort of bleed through with self-sabotage. It can bleed through with disturbing images and make us really quite paranoid or fearful. Whereas when we're listening to it, it dials way down because it doesn't have to yell anymore. It doesn't have to try to force you to take a look at it. So that's the other reason why we want to look at both. I just recently did a podcast on the Quantum Guide Show. If the viewers are interested in learning more about light shadow integration, that's the Quantum Guide Show episode 155 that I did with Chris Matthew and Brandon Thomas, Frank Castle, and Ryan Patrick Burns. So if people want more information, but next week we're going to just delve right into that nubby ball tool and get down and dirty with our light and shadow integration. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yep.
And then the week after that, we're going to do red, step 8. So red is your root chakra, and we use it for grounding and for being really grounded to the earth. So the lesson is going to be grounding and taking a look at our core belief systems. So grounding includes all kinds of things, from taking a walk, in nature, to taking hot, salty baths that help to ground you to the earth. A lot of people don't realize, in the wintertime where we live, it's very cold. There's no way I'm going to run around and try to ground to the earth with bare feet on the grass. You couldn't really find any. It's all snow anyway. But a lot of people don't realize that the plumbing in our homes, wherever we're living, is grounded, and all of our electric outlets are grounded to the plumbing. And so when we get into a hot, salty bath, we're actually grounding ourselves, and then adding different salts and essential oils and things to the water really helps us to be spiritually connected above and below, which is just an awesome place to meditate and work on our spiritual selves. Dawn, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
I was actually going to throw in, because I've been waiting for this because of our hot water situation. We won't go into that. I haven't had an opportunity to take one of your Oregon generators in the tub with me yet. So like, now that we have hot water again, I'm so ready to get into a salty bath and try this purification thing out.
Oh, awesome. Yes, we'll get into that. We'll get into Oregon generators. We'll get into just the myriad of ways that we can help ground ourselves, how to self-soothe ourselves. You know, this is a very distressing world we're living in, and, you know, we need to learn how to self-soothe. There are many ways of doing that, ways of taking good care of our chakra systems. And then we'll get into some core belief systems and ways that we can actually improve our belief systems through gratitude and positive affirmations and things like that. And then we go into step 7, orange, which is affiliated with the sacral chakra. And in there, we're going to talk about, which is also affiliated with the, you know, our sex hormones and our sex organs. So we're going to get into developing new core belief systems. So the belief systems we start to develop in step 8, we'll get further into that in step 7. And then we'll get into male-female energy balancing. So a lot of us are not aware that we have male and female energy. That's the whole yin and yang thing. And we've been sort of programmed to believe that we have to act and present in ways that really support what I would call gender stereotypes, when there is actually a lot more power in developing the skills and assets from our feminine self as well as our masculine self. And all things are a balance of male and female energy. And in that lesson, I also, at the end, I'm not trying to convince anybody about the whole transgender paradigm, but I give some reasons why we're experiencing an explosion of people who are identifying as transgender, and explain a little bit what that actually means and looks like, because it's very misunderstood. People think gender is the same thing as your biological sex, and it's really quite different. One is what you're born with, which begins with your DNA, and the other one is just a social way that people are self-identifying. Two very, very different things. So I hope to cast some light on that. Did either one of you have anything to say about the yin and yang, or the male-female parts of being a human being?
I'm looking forward to that part. Dawn and I can help, I think, share some examples, like just individually, but even in our relationship, how we're fluid. Like there's no defined role in our relationship. It's just whoever is in the spot to do that particular task or thing, and then the other's there to support or guide if we're not familiar with it. Yeah. So that way we work together, but we can work independently to work together, if that makes sense.
Absolutely does. Like I was raised with very strict rules around gender. If you were female, you had to do all the cooking and all the cleaning and all the childcare. And meanwhile, if you were male, you had to do all the yard work, garbage disposal, all the lifting. The women had to pretend they were incapable, so that, you know, my mom had the belief that we had to pretend we were really wimpy and weak, so that it would build up the men in our family to feel stronger and be the heroes to come in and fix everything for us, you know, which it was just crazy making. And the other thing I want to say is I've had contact with extraterrestrials, and in the extraterrestrial realms where I associate, they don't even have a concept for gender. I mean, they do have the recognition of biological sexual differences. The folks that I have had exposure to, they do not clone babies. They make them the old-fashioned way. And if you're born with a womb and ovaries, you know, you carry the offspring. And if you were born with the pointy end, you are, you know, you are able to impregnate the person that you want to create life with. But besides that, there's no rules that, you know, you have to dress a certain way or act a certain way or be a certain way. And so I think you guys are right ahead of the game on that. So I'm not trying to convince anybody about transgender issues. I'm just going to get into it so that people at least have some accurate information.
I appreciate that, because the way that it's being presented in society is, I don't feel that it is positive I would really appreciate a different perspective, because the way that it's being presented, it's being pushed.
Yeah.
And but yet I'm curious, but I want to hear a different perspective than what's being pushed, because I know that there is more to it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
not what's in mainstream media, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's so forced down your throat. It's almost shoved in your face so much you don't want to pay attention to it, and then you feel like a bad person because you don't want to pay attention to it. And I think this is absolutely amazing that you're bringing it out from a third party perspective.
Thank
And
you.
that's
I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it.
Thank you. I have some strong opinions. I don't believe the government has any business in our underpants.
Nope.
I don't believe the government has any business in our personal health choices. All of that is way overstep, and they have no say in our spiritual, persuasion or our religious beliefs. No, they're there to make sure that the roads get fixed and the bills get paid, and that old people are looked after, financially, and they're not here to push their morals and their crazy agendas. So I'm just going to say it. I'm a bit of a rebel, that's for sure.
yeah.
So then step 6 is yellow, and that's loosely based on the solar plexus chakra, and it's about detoxification. So the first 3 levels or steps are all about opening your mind. So step 9 is about opening our mind and having a conceptual tool to understand more of the greater whole. Step 8 helps us to understand what is technology. Technology is not necessarily a cell phone or a screen or a machine. There's all kinds of natural technologies at our fingertips to help us to be more comfortable, more grounded, self-soothe. And then step 7 is opening our mind to being greater than the gender stereotypes. Then when we pass over into step 6, yellow, we're going to start talking about detoxification, because like it or not, we're all heavily toxified. And I've broken this down into 3 separate parts. Each one will be a session or a video on its own, because it's so much information. And so part 1 will be all about I've got this backwards. Part 1 is actually about external detoxification. Sorry, I have to change this. And we're going to talk about all the things in our environment that are toxifying us and things we can do about it. And Spinja, you'll really like this, because I give you recipes and instruction on how to make all your own healthy alternatives. Everything from what you use to brush your teeth, what you use to wash your hair, what you use to clean your house, and it costs pennies. There's no reason why we have to spend all that money on cleaning products and personal care products that are actually poisoning us. And part 2 is all about internal detoxification. So we're going to look at ways, like through using tap water, making tea and drinking tap water, some bottled water, but also many of the foods that we're used to eating are very, very toxic. And even if they were not toxic 50 years ago, they're now toxic because of the pesticides being used on them and all that kind of stuff. And so we're going to, and I'm going to give you some options for detoxifying. Now, all of these things cost some money. And so I know that not everybody has pocketfuls of money. So I'm just always encouraging people to just take one step towards detoxification or a healthier way of doing it. You don't have to do it all overnight. It took me years and years and years of consistent effort to bring about the changes I've made in my own life. I would never expect other people to just do it overnight. Not going to happen. And if you don't start to do it and continue to do it in little tiny baby steps, it's not sustainable. So you can just throw everything into making a big change, but you can't keep at it. You can't keep it up. So what good is it if it doesn't become a permanent part of your life? And then the third part is emotional detoxification, where you learn that all of our emotions are important and they how in ways that we can make them all work for us and not against us. And often the difference between a positive or a negative emotional state is the story we're telling ourselves about what's going on. And so if we tell ourselves a different story, we have quite a different emotional response. And it really helps let the air out of the balloon, for a lot of stressful situations. Do you have anything you want to add or questions about that?
No, I'm really excited about this part too. Exactly what you said, because I have been trying to make the changes. The light came on for me. It would have been back in 2011, and it's exactly what you said. It is expensive, and it's gradual, but it's one step at a time. Like it started for me, like becoming aware of laundry soap and fabric softener and making a small change there. And then, like I mentioned to my mom about the cookware, about Teflon and things like that. So she went out and for Christmas got me a couple of cast iron frying pans. So there are ways that, and at that time I was a single mom. I was going to school. I wasn't getting any child support or anything. So things were as tight as they possibly could be. But it's the awareness, it's knowing that the change, like like the benefit of the changes, and then just putting it out there, that the intention to make it. And if you share with other people, they will, if you don't have the resources to do it, they will help you find it. It will find its way to you if you come to the realization that you would like to make changes to benefit yourself and your family, like, and others as well.
Yeah. I just want to throw in, like, I find the synchronicity here, because I don't believe in coincidence anymore, absolutely remarkable, because I just had a guest on my show yesterday. I just aired it today, Stone Hobbit, and she was basically recounting the exact same thing, except we were talking about it on the ascertainment of your spiritual awareness and things around you. Like, the more natural you get, the more in tune you are with the universe around you. And it sounds like with this detoxification, that's exactly what you're alluding to. And I just had this conversation yesterday with Stone Hobbit, who is a vegan, and was explaining sorry, something's trying to get me to stop talking. Was just explaining the exact same thing. So this is obviously a direction I'm supposed to look in.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I was actually watching your show. I didn't finish it, but I was watching it before we came on to do this show. And yeah, it was very interesting. She has a lot of good things to say for sure. I can't wait to watch the rest of the show. And for the viewers and listeners out there, please do check out Don's YouTube channel. I'll have the link below. And he's got some very, very interesting programming happening. So then there's step 5, green, which is your heart chakra. That's your healing center. And we're going to take a look at food as medicine and a source of universal love energy. I've included in this step quite a few what they call Kirlian photography, excuse me, images that were taken with Kirlian photography, which shows the aura and the energy that's in every living thing. And long story short, or spoiler alert, we want to move from dead, lifeless, long shelf life foods and move towards healing, live foods that are full of energy. And again, it's not always easy for everyone to get these kinds of foods, but we're going to take baby steps in that direction. And our food actually can heal and sustain us. Now, in this lesson, I do not take a position that you should or shouldn't eat in any specific way. My goal is to get people eating real food that's full of life force energy, universal love energy. So you can be a vegan, you can be a raw vegan, a vegetarian, you can be an omnivore, you could be keto, paleo, even carnivore, and still improve your energy and your spirituality through the choices you make for food. And I also point out a lot of things that people may not know about common foods that are found on the shelf at the grocery store. And if you don't know, you don't know. And there are even some people who don't do well with fiber and vegetables for a lot of reasons. So I've provided an extra section on histamines, oxalates, lectins, SIBO, FODMAPs, and all the different things that can really rob people of their physical vitality. And these people keep going to the doctor, and the doctor can't find anything wrong with them, and they're just sick all the time. So if you've got digestive issues, irritable bowel syndrome, different problems like that, then this section is for you. And a lot of people are not realizing, not everyone, like I know a lot of people believe you got to be vegan to be spiritual because we don't want to eat animals. And I get that. I don't want to eat animals either. But I also have to respect what my body needs for me to have the vitality and energy so that I can have the spiritual life and the physical life that I deserve. And so I just wonder if you folks have anything you want to add to that.
We were just talking about this morning. we were saying that if we could find out like an alternative to meat, then absolutely. But in the meantime, there is, we don't see any other way, and what we're putting it out there, if there's a way for our body to get what we need, we would prefer the alternative.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, this is the part where if we need to eat meat, we just honor the animal and thank you for your service, and wish it the best, and it's just thank you, and that's what we can do in the now.
Yeah. Somebody that you and I have in common actually made me think of something that I added to that conversation is Frank Castle. He was talking about the entire life cycle for our spirit, and how like you have to be the blade of grass, you have to be this, you have to be that, you have to have been everything. Well, while we were having this conversation, I was like, she's like, if I was the beef cow, I think I would be honored if I was treated humanely to help, because I'm going to be that at some point in my existence. I'm going to be the blade of grass, I'm going to be the cow, and now I'm the human, right? So you honor each other, and as long as there's the respect for the food, then I think it's about as easily as you can accept having to eat meat.
Yeah. I've had a lot of lucid dreams, both awake and asleep, and a lot of visions. And I was actually a raw vegan for quite a while, and my body did not do well on it. Just saying, that's how it was. This is just my truth, my body. I don't mean to project that on anyone else, but my body did not do well. And I just had terrible gastrointestinal issues, and bloated and in pain and suffering all the time. But I was aware that plants are also alive. They've done different experiments where they have hooked up little electrodes or little sensors to plants, and they freak out when they know they're going to get cut down, and when they're going to get cooked, or when they're going to get eaten. They got feelings too. And so, and then the same for the animals. So, excuse me. So what I got from the plant world is that they have three primary reasons for being here. One is to reproduce. Two is to provide for the harmony and balance of the planet. And three is to serve as food, especially for those that are doing the work of improving humankind and elevating us to a new level of being. So later, when I started consuming bone broth, because I had to do something for my digestive system, it was such a mess. And then I started eating meat. I was so upset. I was at night and I was crying. I felt so bad for the animals, and I had another vision, and the animal kingdom said the same thing. They have three primary reasons for being here. One is to reproduce. Two is to add to the harmony and balance of the planet. And number three is to serve as food for those that are doing the work, especially to elevate humanity, which needs a lot of help. And so that made me feel a lot better. But I agree, I'm very conscious on the choices of meats that I can afford and acquire. Not everyone can afford grass-fed, and but we do the best we can. So I give lots of options in that, in step 5 on ways that we can be in more harmony, with the animal plant kingdom. The other thing about vegetarians is a lot of people don't realize that, especially now they've got all the farm factories for vegetables as well as meats. On these big farms, they are killing millions of small animals and bugs and things with the pesticides and herbicides. So life is being taken either way. Something has to die for us to live, it seems, Anyway, so step 4, blue, is associated with the throat chakra, and it's understanding the power of heuristics and how to come to know your truth so that you can speak your truth. So heuristics is a simple process where we think a certain way, we behave a certain way, and then we get feedback from our environment, and then we adjust and we make some changes, and then we behave a little bit differently, and then we go out into our environment, we get feedback again. It's like a feedback loop, always adjusting, and know your truth. We can't know our truth until we basically start to awaken. We have to step outside of our socialization, because that's just, templates that we're given. That's not our truth. And we need to discover our truth. And then once we discover our truth, we can speak our truth. So that's a really important lesson. You can see why it's tied into the throat chakra. Do you have any comments about that?
No, I'm really excited because so far, like, all of the steps are different things that I've been trying, and you're going to fill in the gaps that I like. This is what I've been looking for, what I've been needing. Like, I am so grateful and very excited about this. And I know that it's going to benefit others too, especially like the ones that just know that something's off. These are the gaps that are going to be filled in, and I'm just really excited.
I absolutely love the format because you're taking the hundreds of questions that people amidst their awakening have, and you're putting it into a streamlined context of like, here's everything that's going to happen. And you're exactly right, because like I said, as a noob, I can say like, these are all the exact questions that you get stuck with in your head.
Yeah. And also step 4, blue, we also detoxify from the construct. So that's another aspect. So the first 3 steps, 9, 8, and 7, are opening your mind. Steps 6, 5, and 4 are all about detoxification. Now you need to open your mind before you're really ready to start to do your detoxification. So once you've opened your mind, and then you've done your detoxification, or you're working on it, it's a lifelong process. Trust me, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. Then you're ready to step into the final 3 steps, which really are involve a very amazing, miraculous spiritual and mental life, because the body temple is now in a position to hold the frequency to give us more of what we need, and what I consider our God-given talents and abilities that we're not told about. So step 3, indigo, which corresponds to the third eye chakra, understanding and using perception within the construct to manifest change. So we live in a construct, we can't get away from that. I mean, some people can, they become hermits, but basically most of us have to have one foot in the construct. How we can use our greater understanding and our perceptions within that environment to manifest the kind of changes that we want to see. And these can be miraculous changes. And so I give all kinds of tips and instructions on how to do that, what it means, and even on how to manifest in such an amazing way that you get to the point where all you have to do is think, oh, gee, I wish I had more of this in my life, and boom, it's there. You don't have to do all the visualizing and the meditation. It just comes to you because it's meant for you anyway. We just got to learn how to stop blocking it off. So, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I feel like this part in particular is going to help me because like as like we were discussing before, like I the situation that we're in right now, I still have to have a foot in 3D. I still, even knowing what I know and like and learning every day, and it's like things that a lot of people aren't open with discussing. You're really balancing two lives, and so I feel like this section is going to help me and others as well, be able to maintain the balance without looking like you're off your rocker.
Yeah. And I think this part is also fundamental for people in their awakening as well, because this is a literal conversation Spinja and I have had, is like how much of trying to manifest things is pushing it, how much is trying to manipulate the construct for your own well-being, how much of it is okay. So the fact that this is a course topic is absolutely perfect, because this is a weekly conversation. Yes. Because the down low on the whole shit show in the background of our lives, and what we're probably trying to manifest, but we actually have the literal question: how far can we push? Are we allowed to? So this is beautifully timed, so thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, I mean, really, this part of life is kind of like riding two horses bareback. You've got a foot on one horse's back and a foot on the other, and they're galloping along. How do you keep them in a forward motion where you can keep your balance? It's a challenge. It's a big challenge. The other thing too is be careful what you ask for. You might just get it. Sometimes we don't get what we want because it's in our best interest and we won't see it until further down the road. Or we may have a catastrophe, we think it's horrible, but then down the road we go, oh my God, if that hadn't happened, we wouldn't have done this and we wouldn't have done that. And, then you start to see it all unfolding quite beautifully and perfectly. And it helps you to have more confidence when shit hits the fan in the future. So there's that. And then step 2, after that, you're ready for step 2 violet, which corresponds to the crown chakra. And there we learn how to do integration with our higher selves. So a lot of people kind of are either atheists or, well, they've tried religion and they've decided to be atheists, or they've been in religions. And in my case, religion was just too small a box. I couldn't fit. I mean, people meet me and, oh man, you'd be great. Come to our church. But if I do, won't be long before they're trying to get rid of me because I upset the apple cart. Because I ask questions that are just, I'm compelled to ask, and they don't appreciate that so much. So we can develop our own spiritual framework. And really, there's no rules. So what I do is just give you all kinds of ideas and tips and exercises so that you can develop your own relationship with your higher self, with your guides. You can call in your guides. You can have anyone you want. You can have ancestors. You can have learned people from history. At one point, I pulled in Sun Tzu, not because I wanted to learn the art of war, but because I needed to know how to strategize in my life. I didn't really have any ability on how to strategize my life. You can bring in all kinds of beings. There's ETs, there are angels, like there are so many realms. Don't ever feel that you have to be confined to this or that. No, you get to have this, that, and the other thing, and it's all about you. So it's really, really exciting and so freeing. And then we start to notice more synchronicities and signs that we're on the right path, signs that these higher selves are here and are available, are listening, are aware. It's very exciting.
I actually just last week had a conversation with a gentleman from a church in the area, and it wasn't a Bible as much as it was a storybook that helps to explain their religion. And I have nothing against religion as itself. Like, people get carried away with it, but I think some of it has some great fundamental values and some good lessons. And this gentleman asked me, like, do you pray? And I explained my view on spirituality, that there is one creator that is in charge of all of this. We're just all sent out. And this gentleman from an ordained church stood in my laneway. And as I accepted his book from his child, heard me out on my end of it. And we both just nodded at each other and went along my way. I haven't read his book yet, but I'm willing to. Right. And I think you can take something from everything that you learn about each religion and each experience on this planet to help guide you as you're higher. Like,
yeah, I agree. And we don't have to be afraid of other people's beliefs. We can let each to his own. You do you, and everyone else can do everyone else. It's really wonderful, very freeing. And then that takes us to the last step, which is step 1, white. And that's the chakra that's about 10 inches above our head. And that's the one where we funnel everything through to approach our higher guides and our higher self and angels and everything. And that's the chakra. They funnel everything down to us. So step 1, white, is achieve a state of bliss and spiritual exercises. So a state of bliss is basically when you've achieved comfort for your body. Very important. A lot of people just think it's a meat suit and they drag it around as an environmental suit. No, it's got a spiritual and an intelligence of its own that we do well to pay respect to it and learn to love it, right? So once we have comfort for our body, so we stop doing the things that cause grief for our body, we find comfort for the body, and we find an emotional state of happiness where we just feel okay. We got this, confident and, not jumping off the roof happy, but happy, basically happy, as opposed to depressed and anxious, right? And then our spirit becomes joyful. And when we line up the body, the mind, and the soul that way, bing, that's when we start to achieve a state of bliss. And a state of bliss is like a spiritual ecstasy. And it's like a new kind of high. And it's pretty cool and pretty amazing. And then along with that are some spiritual exercises, things that people may not consider. I call them the virtues, practicing the virtues. It really pays off. And when we practice a virtue, and I'll give you an example, patience. That's a virtue that I need to practice every single day and in every single way. I am not a patient person, but when I practice patience, different things start happening in my life that I can't explain that improve. It's like it opens a portal and we start to shift. Now, I believe there's a multiverse, and I think we can change positions within the multiverse to have a better life. We don't have to stay in a crappy state. And it's like it opens a portal and shifts our energy as we practice the virtues so that we're actually dominant in another reality. It's funny, what goes along with that is noticing things like the Mandela effect and things that you used to own that you don't own anymore. Things, subtle changes. You go, oh, I'm not in Kansas anymore, but I like it a lot. I like it a lot, right? And our relationships change, and just, people we never really thought we'd get along with just suddenly have a completely different attitude towards us. And it just makes life so much better. So this whole program is the program I wish to God someone had given me when I was going through my awakening process. But someone did. I channeled it. And then my job was to put it together. But before I continue, do you have anything you want to say about step 1?
I feel like I've had moments like that, the bliss that you were describing, I've had moments of it. So and again, I just have to say, like, I'm really excited because I know like the gaps are going to be filled in and I'm going to be able to feel more of it. Like, like even like every morning I get moments of it, like going, and then this is going to sound like when you talk about like the two straddling the two horses, like every morning when I go into work, I know I'm straddling the two horses, but I'm in that place where I love the work that I do. And so the bliss that you're talking about, I feel it because I get that rush of adrenaline on my way in because I know that I'm going to do something that I love. And there's a lot more to it that we don't have time to get into, but I'm just gonna say, like, I know why, because like I'm also doing it, like I'm doing it for me, but I'm also doing it for other people and like my family. But I also, like, I can see how I'm being of service even to my employers on a scale that I think a lot of people wouldn't see with, like, um but I'm able to experience because of where I am. And so with step one, I feel like it's going to give me the tools to draw this in even more. And I'll tell you, that feeling is amazing, and I'm excited about being able to experience it more.
Yeah.
Yep, it is amazing. And this is something everybody, it's our birthright. It's, you don't have to be a special kind of person to have this. It doesn't matter what your education is, your cultural background, your understanding, where you are in the awakening process. It's all good. And then the funny thing is, after you finish step one, you can actually go back and start again at step 9. Now you've got a way deeper understanding of the lesson. So the lesson unfolds depending on the state of consciousness we're in, and you can do it as many times as you want. And I've redone it many times. I'm working on it all the time. Sometimes after you go through it the first time, then you might decide you need to work more on step 5 and step 3 or something, depending on what you want to strengthen and work on. But I'm really pleased to be able to bring this program. Now, next week, we'll get into step 9. I'm going to try to get through the whole step in one show. It's quite a bit of information. I encourage people to create a playlist, get a YouTube channel if you don't already have one, and create a playlist where you save all the information from I'm going to be doing some video tutorials as well as these workshops so that you can save them, and then you can refer back to them as much as you want. And everything you learn on here, please share with other people, because other people want to know this as well. I will also have PDFs available online. I'll be sending you, Spinja and Dawn, I'll be sending you copies. Actually, I probably should have your email so I can send you a copy. I'll send you a lesson a week ahead of time in case you want to look through it. And they're available also from my website. Now the PDFs, I do charge $3.99 each. Now, for those of you who are American or in Europe, that's like $2.50 each. It's not much, but it's a small donation that helps to support my expenses to continue with this work. But everything you need to know will be available through the video workshop and the video tutorials. And because we probably won't have a lot of extra time starting next week, Dawn and Spinja, do you want to tell folks a little bit about the work you're doing with Dawn's YouTube channel? I know, Spinja, you're putting out some amazing short videos. I know you don't have a lot of time to make a lot right now, right? But things could change. And
Yes.
you're helping people with basically concepts to do with homesteading, getting back to the basics. And Dawn, you've got your show. So I'll just give you each a little bit of time to share with the listeners and the viewers on what you got going, what you got planned, and how it's going so far.
So for myself, I actually started my own review show called The Round Table Show. You've actually been a guest on it, where what we've been doing up until this point is reviewing one episode of The Typical Skeptic, because Rob Kellell puts out so much quality information that it's hard to catch it all. And especially, I just happen to be at a stage in my life where I can sit around and watch podcasts half the day and other people can't. So if I can pick the nuggets out and deliver like an overview and something that might catch somebody's interest in important information, that was the whole goal of the show. And it also allows me and my panelists a few minutes to basically run down any rabbit holes that you had as just a viewer. And thankfully, something that has just kind of come into my lap is Chris Matthew we're in talks and agreement right now of me doing a similar production on his channel as well, of the whole FKN network, which I am just stoked about. And of course, those will all be available on my YouTube and Rumble, which is March 4th Productions, and it's the number 4 with TH. And also on Fridays, you can catch me and DJ Maya on WVEW 1077 in Brattleboro, Vermont. We have just some fascinating guests on there as well, where we just do a 1 hour, no censorship, no bullshit, just let her rip kind of radio show. And if we can put it on YouTube, we do that too. It depends on the rules and regulations if we've crossed anything, but you can always catch it on the station's replay as well. That's what I've got going on for myself.
For me, I'm trying to fill in gaps for other people as well. Like everybody else, I've had a rough go. There's been a lot of things, and like a lot of things that have disempowered me, but I still plowed through. Like I was a single mom for 10 years with no child support and taking care of 2 ill parents, and so I had to get resourceful. And so what I want to do in recognition of, like what's going on right now, and I know a lot of people, like me too. I want to help. I want to share what's worked for me. And so, like just as an example, like being on a tight budget, making food from scratch. There's that part. And then Karen, you pointed something out the last time we talked about this. Yes, we're making food from scratch, but we're also being prepared as well. So if we have these things on hand, if, shit does hit the fan, then we've got some stuff in our cupboard. And I feel like it also empowers people, like use what you have, because and I appreciate the angle that you come from, and I'm coming from the same angle. So I am the person that wants to make the healthy changes, but we are not in the financial position at the moment.
Yeah.
So I want to share with people what we're doing to get through with what we have. And like our circumstances are changing, and they are going to change, and we are on our awakening journey. So I want to share as much as I can so that people know that they're not alone. And like and help them think and look like, like, okay, this is working for us, this might work for you, and if it doesn't, maybe it'll inspire you to look someplace else to where you can find the answer. And the other thing that I've noticed is that with the way that society has been set up, a lot of us missed out on things like just the basics, like basic cooking. Like I had somebody mention to me that they didn't know how to make biscuits, but they also didn't know how to follow a recipe. And I want to be very loud about this. This is nothing to be ashamed of. This is just the way things have gone, because, like our parents have been busy, like they were occupied and taken out of the house. So they weren't able to share these things with us. So now we're left kind of just like holding the bags, like, well, what do we do now? So I was in that spot a while ago. So I want to share the answers of what do we do now? So that's where the cooking basics come in, the homesteading basics. I want to share, like I'm going to bring my spinning wheel out so then I can answer those questions. And, and I certainly don't have all of the answers, but I'm going to be sharing what I'm doing and, like learn from my mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes, but I also am like the people that want to help. Like there's been people that have approached us and said, how can we help? So I'm also going to, I plan on bringing in and interviewing people to help us, because like Karen, like with yourself, like you, like when I share my experiences, like there's a lot of like you've been through it as well. So I want to bring people together too, to share their experiences, so everybody knows like we're not alone, and here's different ways of approaching things. And that's my intention.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And now adding to your tool belt is going to be the Quantum Health Transformation Program. By the way, because I'm teaching you directly, I will be issuing you a certificate at the end. And you can then go ahead and do workshops on your own and invite other people, and you just take it wherever you want to go. So it's pretty exciting, because the important thing is this information needs to get out there.
Yes,
So I guess
yes.
that's about it for today. So the links will be below. Do check out Dawn's channel, because that's where you will find Spinja's podcasts as well. And is any last minute things you want to say before we go?
Just I want to thank you, Karen, because as I mentioned, like I'm making this part of my self-care. We're in a position right now, like I'm working minimum 10-hour days. Last week I worked 6 days, and so I also think it's a very valuable lesson, because a lot of people are in the very same position. But you also need to take time out to work on yourself, and put your oxygen mask on, and get take care of yourself, so that you can better take care of other people and take care of what you need to.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important, like if you're like with you watching this, know that this is something, if it's resonating with you, you would do yourself a service, and everybody else around you, to just take the time out and open things up and have a look at what you can do.
Thank you. Dawn, do you have any last words?
I don't think I could possibly say it better than that. So I'll just be the cliche podcaster and say, wherever you watch this video, like and subscribe.
Awesome. Yeah, we want to become the change that we want to see in the world. It starts within us. I want to thank you both so much for joining me today. I've just loved having you as part of this workshop, and I can't wait till next week when we get right into the meat and potatoes of it all, figuratively speaking. And I want to thank the viewers and the listeners. Thank you so much for being with us. If you're listening to this on an audio podcast, you might want to come over to my channel and check out the visual as well. It just is a little bit more information, and please do, smash that like button, share this with your friends, and we'll see you next week for more about quantum health transformation. Bye-bye, everybody.
Many of us have now discovered that the world is not what we thought it was, and global events have left many feeling unsettled and even isolated. Karen Holton offers vital services that may be just what you need as she supports your journey into the weird and wonderful. Karen offers awakening support and ascension consultation to support individuals on their journey. For more details, check out her various vital services. Once you find your way through this process, there are many blessings on the other side. Visit Karen's website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, to get started today.